Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to take a trip down memory lane and look at the first time Alberto Contador tackled the Angliru. Of course, you'll remember he took the final victory of his career on the Angliru in 2017, but this is the 2008 edition of the Vuelta Espana. So coming into the stage, we could actually see that it was Ego Martinez who's actually leading the Vuelta Espana at this point, but behind him he had Levi Leipheimer and of course Alberto Contador, both of them riding for Astana. And interestingly, further down we have Joaquim Rodriguez and Alejandro Valverde, both riding for the Castapanya team, and they would become the focal point. So we start here at the slopes of the Angliru. On the steepest part, Levi Leipheimer is working hard for Alberto Contador at the front, and then we have Castapanya on the back of them, and then a few other riders, but the pace is really high right now, and they are really whittling down this group. And you can just see that, yeah, the effort being put on by Leipheimer, and he's sacrificing his own chances for Alberto Contador, as mentioned, the defending Giro d'Italia champion. And yeah, the damage being done here is just incredible. They've reduced the leaders group in a few hundred meters down to absolutely nothing. They're main contenders of this Vuelta Espana, and Levi Leipheimer putting all his bags in the Alberto Contador basket here. We can see here on the sharp hairpins that Valverde and Rodriguez are just able to cling on to the back wheel of Contador, led by Levi Leipheimer. And the damage being done on the road, we have Carlos Sastre, the defending Tour de France champion of 2008, down here on the road as well. But Levi Leipheimer is really putting in a stern effort for Alberto Contador, and we can see Contador has already got his characteristic dancing on the pedal style here, and Valverde looks like he's really laboring, and so is Joaquim Rodriguez as well, incidentally. Both of these really punchy climbers, and Valverde even takes up the front when Leipheimer is dropped off the front, and Rodriguez is sitting on Alberto Contador's wheel, but Levi Leipheimer has given his all to work for Alberto Contador, and Valverde and Rodriguez are now 2 versus 1 in this situation. We can just see Contador sitting comfortably on the two Castapanya riders, and the gap is really opening up to Levi Leipheimer. But even further back, we have Carlos Sastre, who looks, well, he's isolated at this point and really is sitting far back, and you can just see the gap there for an instance. But yeah, up at the front, we still have Castapanya's Valverde and Rodriguez. We're getting into easier slopes of the Angliru. And yeah, at this point it's 2 versus 1, Contador versus the two Castapanya riders, and they should really put pressure on Contador if they were able to. And Sastre is 8 seconds behind this lead group now and really losing a lot of time. Contador senses the hesitation by the two Castapanya riders and lifts the tempo here. The Astana rider wearing the white jersey is really putting in the hurt here, and Valverde looks like he's struggling, and Rodriguez is the one who's almost glued to Contador's wheel at this point, as we're coming into a section where we're averaging 8.5% and it goes all the way up to 14.5%. So we're not quite at that goat path yet where it goes up to 23.5%, but we're getting ever closer to it. Valverde is now sitting at the back, and it looks like he might get detached from Rodriguez and Contador at this point, so not a good scene for Alejandro Valverde. Further down the mountain we have Sastre with Levi Leipheimer, both of them trying to scramble their way back up to this leading trio. But Contador is at the front. These two Castapanya riders notably sitting down in the saddle and look like they're struggling a bit more than Contador is himself. Contador looks like he's really on a flyer here. So coming into this 20% section, we can see that Contador is actually gapping Rodriguez. Rodriguez, who is a former winner of Flèche Wallonne, well, in the future, and he's just struggling with this climb. So Rodriguez, a very punchy climber who likes these steep gradients, is actually getting exposed by Contador, the Astana leader, who's absolutely putting this climb on fire, to be honest. But Valverde here is third on the road, looking like he's really laboring at this point, rocking side to side. So is Contador, but he's more fresh, as you just see Contador there whacking a fan for an instant. Carlos Sastre and Levi Leipheimer not looking as fresh as Contador up the road. So this is really going to be damage limitation for Carlos Sastre, who was sitting 4th in the GC before this stage started. So it's really come as a shock for the Saxoban rider here. But Levi Leipheimer sitting in a really good position there, not doing any work as Contador is up the road. So really a good move by Astana at this point, and they could get 2 riders higher up in the GC. But up at the front, Contador is really putting the hurt in here. He's out of the saddle and attacking aggressively here. Yeah, really some fireworks going up here at the front, which is just see the beautiful view of the Angliru as well. And we're getting into the really hard part of this section, the goat path, as you'll call it, where it goes up to 23.5%. And you can see that even Contador is getting humbled by these gradients now, as you can just see all the fans around them as well. And it must have been an amazing atmosphere for Contador going up there first. But yeah, Contador is starting to suffer here, and even a climber as formidable as him at this time in 2008 really is suffering with this climb. He did win the 2007 Tour de France as well. He won the Giro d'Italia, and this is the third Grand Tour in his collection. So he could be the winner of all the 3 Grand Tours in a row, in a way. Of course, Sastre had the Tour de France title in 2008. We can see that Valverde is really laboring as well up this part, and he's quite far down the mountain. Well, not really. He's a few 15, 20 seconds down, and you can just see that he's getting pushes here from the fans, which is a no-no, but in this circumstance, maybe the commissaires will look past it. But there's been no change with Leipheimer, who's still glued on Sastre's wheel. Contador is now on some of the steepest sections of this pass, and you can see that the guard is just running beside him, trying to keep fans away from him. And yeah, he's having to put a bit of a jog, so definitely still going a bit of his speed. And you can see at the same part that Carlos Sastre is completely suffering here. Valverde is suffering as well. He's out of the saddle, trying to go in and out. And you can just about see the fans pushing him up the way, which is a big no-no. But yeah, look at that. 3 hands on his backside there, trying to push him up. And a running fan running up as well. And one fan there just getting angry and saying, "What are you doing? You shouldn't be doing this." And of course, it's not in the spirit of the sport to be pushing up Valverde. But of course, Valverde is a very popular rider within Spain. We still have Alberto Contador in the front. Of course, he does look like he's laboring quite a bit, but not in comparison to the riders down the mountain, as we saw with Alejandro Valverde. And here we have Joaquim Rodriguez, who's actually second on the road right now. So he's in front of his team captain of Alejandro Valverde, which might not be popular for many Castapania fans at this point, but Rodriguez is the strongest rider on the road for the Spanish team. And Valverde looks like he's in a world of hurt here, as all the fans are running next to him, and they might not be pleased with what Rodriguez is doing. But Contador is very much the rider in control here, and he looks like he's just dancing up the pedals here, all the fans running next to him, trying to get a moment's glimpse of this legend in the making. Contador comes under the 2 kilometers to go mark. Of course, there is 1 more kilometer of steepness to go before they have that 800 meters of flat section. So yeah, only a kilometer left now for the Spaniard to climb, as there's a lot less fans here, unfortunately for him, or maybe fortunate. And we can see the damage done here as Carlos Sastre comes about 30 seconds down on the rider, and Levi Leipheimer looks like he has actually distanced the Tour de France champion. Contador is just flying up the hairpins. Getting out of the saddle is when that characteristic dancing style. But down the road, we have Valverde, who has been joined by Rodriguez. So Rodriguez has been caught by his team leader. Maybe he'd been given the orders to drop back, we don't know. But Rodriguez looks like he's struggling a lot as well now. Carlos Sastre, the rider with the number 1 on the back, is nowhere to be seen, to be honest. But Valverde is leading up him and his teammate up these slopes, as we saw Contador dancing up, but they have a more labored style than the Spanish rider, the Giro d'Italia champion, and the 2007 Tour de France champion. Contador is now on the 11th kilometer, and you can see the fans are just tapping him on the backside, and they kind of don't want to influence the result, as we saw before. That is a good thing, but it still is a very steep section here that he has to negotiate. Just a little bit of a push there for one of the fans, and then we get one of the guards running up, and there we have another fan interfering in the race. 19% here, 20%, 18%. The gradients here are really tough to say the least, and he will really feel this now. And down the road we have Valverde, who has apparently distanced Rodriguez. He is on the 20% mark, and he does actually look like he has got more in the tank than Contador at this point. He looks like he was actually going faster. And third on the road we have Levi Leipheimer of America and Astana, and Contador manages to get to the flat. He is at the top section of the climb. It shows that he has a 40-second gap down to Valverde, and then Valverde has a 22-second gap down to Levi Leipheimer. And as we look at the standings before the stage, we can actually see that Contador is going to overtake the leaders jersey. What an accomplishment that will be for the young Spanish rider. So he's only got a kilometer to the finish, and it very much is an easier affair than he has been doing, as we just see him riding on the somewhat flatter section here. And Valverde has still not come to that part yet. He still was sitting 40 seconds down on the road, so that gap is just increasing ever more. And yeah, Valverde will have to limit his damage here and see what he can do, if anything. Contador comes in flying in his Astana kit, does his pistol celebration, and yeah, moments later he put on the gold jersey that was the leader's jersey at that time in the Vuelta Espana. A truly phenomenal stage, and of course they did replicate this trio duel that they had, Rodriguez, Valverde and Contador, in the 2012 edition, which I think is one of the best Vueltas I've ever seen. And Alberto Contador's ascent of the Angliru on this stage actually was the second fastest time in the overall ascent of the Angliru, only second to Robert Heras in 2000, who finished the time in 41 minutes and 55 seconds. But Contador's time was surpassed by Chris Horner in 2013 when he defended against all those attacks by Vincenzo Nibali. And of course, Alberto Contador did bookend his career by winning the Angliru stage in 2017. That's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed that, and make sure to subscribe to not miss out on any of our videos. And of course, thank you for watching, and see you next time.